No, I just wish, I don't know, he got kind of wasted in this. And I read an article about him, and he said that when he showed up, his turtleneck was too tight. He said that some of his scenes were cut because they added John Polito in last minute because Dolph really likes him. So he didn't have the best things to say about this movie, but he did say that he met his wife in Sweden, which is pretty awesome.
That is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So I'll also say, so let's get into a little of the story here. So they show up and they set up this elaborate looking shark display with this treasure, which I thought looked fantastic. Like I thought the set design and even the way they shot it, it looked great. It really did.
A lot of Steadicam work, which is interesting because they had to devise a rig in the water to float. Yeah. They couldn't really set up a lot of dollies because they had to move so quick.
Right, and it was this rig that they modified for the Jack and Rose stuff in Titanic, correct?
Yep, it is. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so they get going there, and then you see after the first day of the exhibit, it's really great, and then Dolph and Carrie, well, or Mitch and Jen, as we call them.
Yeah, Lou Ferrigno.
They have, yeah, Jen Lou Ferrigno. They have this, like, it's not a meet cute because they know each other, but they have this, they go to the same restaurant at night, and there's like sitting in tables next to each other but alone, and it was kind of awkward because Alyssa Milano was out with her friends that night.
Yeah, her Swedish cousins.
Her Swedish cousins. But it was really like awkward. They're both eating the meal there, and it's they're not on a date, but they essentially are on a date. And then when she kept ordering his dessert for him, like when the waiter came and she was like, "Oh, he'll have the truffle for dessert." And he's like, "You know me too well." So they're kind of like flirting, but they're not flirting because something's happened. And it doesn't go into what happened, but it didn't end well.
I mean, there's a magnetism between them still.
Right. But then when he says, they get up from dinner, he says, "Can you go back with me? I want to just check on the sharks before I turn in." So then they meet Alyssa Milano walking back to the museum, and she sees them together because that's her mom.
Yep.
Right. That's the whole tension. So then the three of them go back in. And Squiggly is there cleaning up, the janitor.
He's so squirrely.
And then there was those two girls that were like the last like customers there as they were getting ready to leave.
Mm-hmm.
But then we cut to Jeremy Irons, and he hits the button, and then the water tanks he brought in blow and flood the museum. So there was a little quick montage shot of his guys under the guise of darkness covering all the art in airtight plastic.
That's crazy. Do you know how much time they spent doing that?
Yeah, no, but it was necessary, and I get it. But it was a cool like MacGuffin, a cool moment.
Why didn't they cut that and add in something else from the 2.5 hours? Because they spent 5 minutes doing that. You could have had a minute montage.
Again, it was Stewart, and he really didn't want to have another robot jock situation on his hand.
Yeah.
So anyways, they blow these tanks and flood the museum, and then these like frogmen, essentially, the Jeremy's team, they go and they start collecting this art with their tanks and their flippers and everything on. But now we have Dolph, and we have the two girls, and we have Tina, and we have Jen, and we have Squiggly. They're all like in this flood is coming in. They're trying to get up, and they're trying to get, they're not going to die. So it doesn't go right to the top. It floods it, but if they tread water, they can stay alive.
Well, remember in Titanic when Rose and Jack were wading through the water? It's like that. Or in Hard Rain when they're kind of wading through things. It's just that kind of water, if the listener can envision that. Right,
as it's slowly flooding the museum.
Yeah.
Right? And then so the plan was supposed to happen was they're supposed to take these paintings out the loading dock, and then when they had all their paintings out, they were going to blow the secondary bomb, which was going to release the sharks so that nobody could come in and find out what's going on and buy them some escape time.
But it's those rivets that failed, right? The cheap rivets?
Exactly. Because Jeremy Irons, remember we talked about the joints being wrong?
Yeah.
He actually set up the wrong joint. That was his plan was that I know how Mitch is going to build this tank, and this looks like it's going to be the right piece, but it's not, and that's what's going to fail.
Oh, so he's the one who put the bid into Abner Stilinski, played by John Voight, which we got to get into later. So he set this up months in advance.
Absolutely. So I honestly feel like in this good action movie like we're talking about, Jon Voight was like, I'm going to get the Oscar. I'm going to act my pants off.
Now, he's thinking Towering Inferno, right? He's thinking the original Poseidon.
Yes, this was going to be his swan song.
Yep.
So then we have the sharks get released. And so now they're in a museum. It's a big museum. There's 7 large sharks there. There's 7 villains in like scuba outfits.
Yep, you got Lars, Brick, Stone, Mars, Perry, and Juice.
Right.
And Baldwin, played by Frankie, who's comes out of the bathroom, and he looks surprised to see them.
Yes. And then we have, on the inside, we have Squiggly, Mitch, Jen, Tina, and the two customers, girls. Jen and Debbie. But they again were there like, oh, they're gonna die first, and they definitely did die first. And it was when Ivan came up. So they're there and they're huddled kind of. They're on the top of the display in the like the souvenir shop.
Yeah.
And so the water's kind of getting high, and so Dolph has them up. He's got he's got Jen Ferrigno up on his shoulder, and he's got Tina with him, and then these other 2 girls are like climbing up onto it, and then you see the fin, and it's a callback to the opening scene where he goes, "Hey, Ivan," like,
yep.
You kind of think like, oh, these are good sharks, and then Ivan just tears those girls apart.
Yeah, it's brutal, and I hated it when Jeremy Irons goes, "Consumerism kills," because I mean that's a stretch. I know they got killed in a gift shop, but that's too much, correct?
It was a little. It felt like a line from an '89 movie that got put in a '92 movie.
Well, the script was written. Oh, so you think that's one of the surviving lines from the '88 script?
I guarantee that Jeremy Irons thought that was going to be his catchphrase, his "I'll be back."
Yeah, consumerism kills.
You need to leave it in.
Yeah, I mean, he really ate that. He chewed that word. He got more syllables. I can't even reenact it the way that he was able to get so many syllables out of that word. He ate it for breakfast.
100%. 100%. It was almost like when Spock died in Search for Spock, and Kirk is giving his eulogy, and he says, of all the people I've ever known, he was the most human. If you watch his mouth and he says human, it's like 8 syllables long.
Yeah. You know, someone shared a GIF with me the other day from the movie saying consumerism kills. I'm like, do you know what movie that's from? He's like, no, man, I just think it's a funny, or a meme. I think it's a funny meme. Right. He didn't even know it was from Sharks in Sweden.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Hey, how about this? Let's take a quick break. We got a lot more to talk about. When we come back, we'll talk more Sharks in Sweden. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flix. And we haven't even talked about Jon Voight in this movie. But I just want to say, I see, it's very interesting. So he's playing a Swedish man. And his accent is like, I think in Anaconda, he's Peruvian?
Yep.
Yeah, he's one of those, but he has a very Creole-y mixture. This one sounds very Swedish, mixed with some English and occasionally Russian. I think.
But I think in '92 we were at the point in time where it's like it was just a foreign accent in an American movie. It didn't need to be very specific. It was just like
it just had to be from somewhere
else, right?
Yeah.
And I think that the first time we really saw that hugely, it was a slow change. But I think the first time we recognized it was in Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull.
Oh my goodness!
When he talks to Kate Blanchett and he's like, "Yeah, you're probably from Chernobyl with the way that you're chewing on your W's." Like he makes a very specific like accent reference, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, so accents matter now."
In that movie, accents mattered.
Yeah, not like plot didn't matter and like production didn't matter, but accents mattered in that movie.
I mean, but Kate Blanchett's there, so she's not going to do a generic accent.
No, exactly.
You hire Kate Blanchett, and you're getting the west end of the north block of Chernobyl.
Right. And she's gonna live there for a week and just really nail it.
And everyone's gonna think that she just belongs there.
Yeah.
I'd watch that movie.
Oh. The movie where Kate Blanchett plays herself. No. Reese Witherspoon plays Kate Blanchett preparing for Indiana Jones.
Oh my gosh.
Dr. Jones is Calling. That's the name of the movie.
That would be amazing. Because we just released it, but our election pod we just released in July. And Reese Witherspoon is incredible in Election.
So she's also kind of crazy though, right?
Well, all right. So here's what I think. And a lot of people have looked at her as Listen, there are some moments in that movie where, like, she's talking to Matthew Broderick, and this is visual, but she's like putting her finger in between his windows down, and she's putting it between the two rubber things, saying they're going to spend a lot of time together. And she has but there's also sadness to her character, because this is a 17-year-old girl who her dad left, and her mom gives her pills whenever she feels bad. So her mom's already medicating her. They also filmed scenes where her mom was just chastising her for ideas. If you would have done this, you would have done better. Maybe cupcakes weren't the best idea. Also, this is another girl who was in a relationship with an older man that was very weird. And watching the movie again, just the way her body language is during her scenes with that teacher she has an affair with, you realize this is just a 17-year-old girl. So I think some of her motives are definitely dubious, but I just think she's a kid who is driven with a mom who medicates her, a dad who left, and had a very, experience with this guy that was over her depth. So I think her character has very, some people say, sociopathic, but I think even when she rips down the banners, she's just angry at life. She doesn't plan on doing it. So I think her character's more layered than just calling her, Tracy Flick is insane. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I can get that.
Yeah. But watching it again, I picked all that out. So like but I just thought, she crushed. She should have won an Oscar for it. She should have been in this movie.
Speaking of should have won an Oscar for things, I just recently watched again, Drop Dead Gorgeous. Have you seen this movie?
Oh, dude. That actually just beat out. So I put up a movie for the month on the Lambcast. It's like the large association of movie blogs. And Deep Blue Sea had the lead for a long time, but then Drop Dead Gorgeous came back and beat it. But Kirsten Dunst, right?
Well, I think Kirstie Alley should have won an Oscar.
Oh, dude. She's
Help
so good.
To some bars. She's just on the nose.
It's Denise Richards, right?
Yeah.
And she was good in that movie.
That movie was fantastic. When she dances with Jesus at the end, and she's like, and she's singing that song, I was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. And it's kind of like a beautiful commentary on the past. Like, it's just, everything about it is perfect.
Yeah, it's a very good movie. It's a movie that hasn't. I wish it would have built more of an audience, because it's aged well. It just hasn't kept up the. I guess there's just so much media, but it's good. Yeah. It kind of pulled the sharks in Sweden. But
again, a mockumentary is an acquired taste.
Yeah, you're right.
Because you either love Best in Show or hate Best in Show.
Some people have some people get very sluggish reactions to these, but then some people love them. I guess you're right. They are pretty divisive, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's easier to, I love guest movies. I didn't watch Mascots. That one's on Netflix. But all of his other stuff is gold. And Spinal Tap, Rob Reiner, geez Louise. Great. Turn it up to 11.
Exactly.
Now, do you mind if I have a couple questions to ask you about this movie? I just kind of want to do a quick.
That's all I want in my life. That's all I want in my life is you ask me questions about this particular movie.
Okay. Do you ever get tired of heroes getting shot and then totally forgetting about it? Because it's interesting, though, because Jen Lou Ferrigno gets shot in this movie right in the arm, and by the end of it, she doesn't even realize it's there anymore. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a nice trope, because normally the dude gets shot. So, do you get in Triple X 3, Donnie Yen gets gut shotted. You think he's dead, then he's walking around fine. I'm sure Dominic Toretto has been shot from Fast movies so many times, forgotten about it. The Rock gets shot, doesn't even worry about it anymore. Do you dislike that trope?
I did. I'm almost numb to it because I'm a Walking Dead fan.
Yeah.
And those guys get shot almost every episode. And then what's it matter, right? They'll have a guy come on and he'll get scratched by a zombie, then he turns right away, and then you'll get Rick who gets shot in the leg and then the shoulder, and then gets his eye gouged out, and then the next 10 minutes he's back up fighting again, no problem.
Okay, another question: did you like the art? Do you think the fake art in this movie was good?
I thought it was good. I thought they were wise to not use pre-existing popular pieces, but to make up fictional famous art.
Yeah.
So I thought that was the way to go. That was the move.
I love the one of the boys standing on piano.
Piano Boy was great. Piano Boy was great. My favorite was the broken ship, where it was the pirate ship that was sinking. I thought that was a metaphor for the whole movie, right?
Wow, I didn't even think about that. And did you read the name tag on the all black painting? Can I tell you what that name tag said?
I didn't catch that. No, what was that?
When the lighthouse goes out.
Oh.
So they're just saying when there's no lighthouse, it's just pure black.
No one's going to guide you home.
Yeah. I mean, that's it could be lazy painting with a great title, or